I'm at the big Burlington Mall in Massachusetts, and right behind me is a big, empty, derelict space, as you can see, but it used to be Sears. It was an anchor tenant at this mall for 50 years until it closed last year. Well, the demise of Sears is a topic that we've talked an awful lot about. It's well known. But if we really want to learn the lessons from the demise of this once great American institution, the world's largest retailer at one point, if we want to learn the lessons, we have to look much further back than most people look. There were two decisive errors in the demise of Sears. One occurred, believe it or not, in 1954, when the great CEO, General Robert Wood, finally decided to retire, and the board could have found some young, charging, ambitious manager to replace him, but they didn't. They followed him with 3 or 4 CEOs, each of whom had been waiting his turn patiently to be CEO, each of whom had the job for only about 3 years on average. Well, none of them were able to be very effective, and as a result, Sears began to stagnate without anyone quite noticing. It really began to fall behind, even while things outwardly looked good. It was a mistake of CEO succession. The second decisive error occurred in the early 80s, when Sears knew it was in trouble, but it decided the trouble was not in itself, but rather the trouble was retailing was a terrible business. They decided that retailing had just become a terrible business, so they would diversify into financial services. It looked like a good idea at the time, but it was a disastrous idea. When they first adopted their financial services strategy in the early 80s, Sears was still #1 in the world. By the time they abandoned that strategy 12 years later, it was no longer #1. It had been surpassed by Walmart and by Kmart, and it had forever lost any chance of becoming #1 again. During all of this, Sears became arrogant, it lost discipline, and the real lesson for managers today in established, successful companies is that those same problems could be beginning right now, happening right now in your business. And history shows it's really, really hard to spot those problems, caused by success, but also hidden by success. It's hard to spot them before it's too late.